Welcome to this week's Time in the Word broadcast. Again, it's 2025. Last year, you and I owned the fact that maybe in this year we could have a new approach to what God would do in our lives. See, the reality is there are some things in the past year we failed in. It was God who led David in Psalm 34 to write about this new approach we're talking about this month. Remember what David wrote. He wrote this psalm after God had rescued him from a very dark moment in his life. The whole story of what happened is recorded in 1 Samuel 21. David, according to Scripture, at that time in his life, had been on the run from King Saul for an extended period of time. It was at that point when this was happening that something changed in David for a moment. He began to live in a chaotic moment. So he made a snap decision to go over to his nation's greatest enemy, and he attempted to live quietly in their country. But things went south quickly, as David was discovered and he was taken to the king. One author wrote about David these words: David had jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire of life. It was at this moment, according to Scripture, that David did what he asked us to do in Psalm 34:4. Here's what he said, and I quote, "I sought the Lord, and He delivered me from my fears." Wow. If you were with us last week, we said that a new approach begins with looking to God in every mountaintop and in every valley. Well, today, friend, we're going to see this in Psalm 34, that God came to David's rescue, and He rescued him. Now listen to Psalm 34, verses 5 through 8, and I quote, "Those who look to Him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him and delivers them." I love verse 8. It's familiar to you, I'm sure it is. "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man or person who takes refuge in God." As many times, my dear friends, as I read this psalm, it never gets old. You see, David owned that apart from God, he was a poor man and his life was filled with troubles. But with God, he was saved. And with God, he was protected from all his enemies. Now, here's where you and I need a new approach in 2025. You see, we often read about God, hear others give testimonies about God's work in their lives, but we fail to experience God for ourselves. You see, Psalm 34 is God's invitation to you and I to look not only to God as in what others would say, but to personally experience God day by day in walking with Him in prayer and study, and also Spirit-filled living. Here is our new approach. Step number 2. I will start reading and praying as one who wants to experience God personally. Friend, I promise you that when you do this as a new approach, this year, now listen to this, will go differently in so many ways, because now you want to know and understand God for your own life. And as you do that, you're able, dear friend, now to share Him with other people. That's the new approach for this year. Hey, also I'll tell you this, we are in our day 8 and following in our fasting together. And so I'm praying for you. You pray for me. And may God find us in this new approach in 2025.